Kids are headed back to school very soon. It's going back this month. And once again, we brought together many of our Metro superintendents to talk through the biggest topics that parents and educators are talking about. Our superintendent roundtable has become a back-to-school tradition here at KOCO. It airs, when does this air? Thursday, 9 p.m.?
August 6th at 9 p.m.
There you go. Abigail Ogle knows so much about this because she led the conversation once again this year, and I asked her to join me here for Oklahoma Chronicle so we could kind of talk through it. You look forward to this. I look forward to watching it. I've hosted it before, but I love watching this. You love doing it.
It's really great, and we have a lot of the same superintendents come back year after year, and we also have new ones join us every year. So you build these relationships, you get to know what's important to each district because each district is different. They have different needs. You also get to see the camaraderie between the superintendents. It's kind of like being a fly on the wall. There's an infamous group chat between these superintendents, and I always ask if I can be invited to it. I haven't yet, but it's neat. It's kind of like sitting in on a conversation between all of these school leaders, and I always tell them, you know, if someone has a thought and you want to jump in, you don't have to wait for me to call on you. I mean, I want this to be a conversation between all of you, and if I need to hop in and drive that, that's fine.
I would say that's gotten better and better the more we do it, the more comfortable these school leaders get with us. They trust us to treat them respectfully and ask good questions, and I think that they really deliver sometimes some of the answers. You know, we were talking, Abby, that in years past, for example, under the Ryan Walters administration when he was state superintendent, there was real fear about what you said out loud as a school leader because all of a sudden your accreditation could get taken away. And it almost feels like things have changed. The atmosphere has changed and their willingness to speak has changed.
Sure. That actually happened one year. We had a superintendent who was scheduled, booked, going to be on the roundtable. We had a mic and a chair ready to go. And at the last minute, they had learned that their accreditation had been downgraded. And so they obviously didn't come. They were, trying to figure out what does this mean. They were answering calls for interviews, for stories, and it impacted the rest of the roundtable because there was a real sense of, I wouldn't say fear, but maybe some trepidation of what I say here could impact thousands of families, could impact my school, could impact all of my teachers. And so I think there was maybe a little bit more answering on eggshells, so to speak, because they were so concerned about what they said and what they said publicly. And
the blowback that they might get because of that. And we're not getting that at all. So let's talk about some of the things that you guys really got into because we have seen at the state capitol, I mean, legislation has been really hammering on education here in recent years. And once again, this year, there was a lot of work, a lot of bills. Did you have a sense that the superintendents were in favor of the work legislators were doing, or did they feel opposed to what's been done?
I think they were possibly opposed to the way that it was handed down. I think they always would appreciate a little bit more conversation, a little bit able to give a little bit more input when talking with lawmakers. We'll take recess, for example. You know, when I was talking with the superintendents, not a single one disagreed that recess is important. Their thought was that recess should count as instructional time because when kids are playing at recess, they're still learning. And so they wish they had had a little bit more input when it comes to that. They didn't disagree really with the mandate, but they wish that all of the recess could count as instructional time.
Interesting.
When we also talked about the literacy, the Save the Readers Act, and the Mississippi Miracle as it's been deemed.
Which, by the way, we do have a clip of that, but go
on. They all agree that reading is important, and everyone knows the statistics that we're at the bottom of the barrel. I asked them, how is this actually going to look different in my child's classroom? My child's going into third grade. Say, what is going to look different for my child? And I asked, how big of a problem is this? And I got some very interesting answers and some concerns that I think will potentially surprise parents.
Let's listen in right now. Abby and the superintendent's talking about literacy.
It's fair to say that this is a global, a national issue that many school districts and systems are working through. The literacy, the read, write, speak, how do you bridge that gap? Because it is a gateway to the future and careers of our children. So I think anytime you have opportunities where a state superintendents, and there's a common focus on literacy, it's a game-changing win.
We talk about literacy, Mr. Keith Steiner, with UConn kind of as this abstract thing. But say I have a child who's getting ready to go into 3rd grade. What are the actual changes because of this mandate, this new law, that my child will see in their classroom, or maybe a new teacher, maybe a new textbook? What are the actual changes that it's going to take to implement something like this?
I think it's going to be different from district to district. I mean, from the state level, they're allocating more resources to, to reading and instructional specialists, reading specialists. But I think, for this conversation for me is, what are we chasing? Are we chasing an outcome? Or are we chasing a test score? What I want to see, and is what Josh was talking about, is our kids flourishing. And so how do we make that happen? And so I think what parents are going to be surprised to see, and it's not going to be unique to just the urban areas, it's going to be everywhere, is the number of kids that are going to be held back, that are going to be retained. There's going to be a large number of kids that are retained. And so I think our conversation as superintendents and as instructional leaders and as district leaders is how in that system do we still allow our kids to flourish and not defeat them, because being held back, it's a big deal.
That was the soundbite right there from UConn Public Schools Superintendent Keith Steiner that I thought would surprise a lot of parents, is with these new mandates and with this now new law, that a lot more students are likely going to be retained, repeating 3rd grade because of this new law.
Something that we're definitely going to be following. You asked them about security?
We did. We talked about what we all saw at Pauls Valley. A gunman walking into the high school lobby, the high school principal tackling the gunman to the ground, getting shot in the leg in the process. And, they're all, like I mentioned in the group chat, they're all very close. It's a close group of these school leaders. They share concerns, they share wins. And when one district is hurting, they're all hurting. And I asked them, what was going through your mind when you heard, well, first we heard shots fired at Pauls Valley High School. We heard Pauls Valley principal's been shot. And just to hear their emotional reaction in the very early hours, the minutes of when that call came out, they described it as their worst nightmare. And they were just devastated with that district going through this. They all called the principal a hero, and they said that that's how superintendents and school leaders view their position, is they put themselves in harm's way if students' lives are on the line. But that was a really an interesting dialogue with those superintendents, because it wasn't their district, but it impacted them personally.
Well, I'll tell you what, I mean, you're a parent, you got kids in school. I'm a parent, I have kids in school. I know so many of you are parents as well, or grandparents, and so these things matter. This is a conversation that you're not going to want to miss. Once again, our KOCO Chronicle Superintendent Roundtable airs this Thursday, 9 p.m. It's an hour long. I really encourage everyone to join us, watch it. Of course, we'll have it online as well, but join us on air. I think it's going to be wonderful. Abby, you do a great job with it.
Thank you.
And you do a great job talking through it right here, so thanks so much for being with us.
I didn't really have a choice, but
No,
I was right there. I was happy I was glad I got to come on and talk about it. My Chronicle debut.
And we appreciate it, Abby.